First, Coach, I think it's time to bring in our first guest of the night. We're thrilled to be joined by the head coach of the Bishop Luers Knights, Kyle Lindsay, who's joining us this week. Kyle, first of all, thanks for joining us tonight. Congratulations on the semi-state victory last Friday, and now another opportunity for the Bishop Luers Knights to play for a state championship.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm glad I could finally make this work for you guys.
You're a tough man to track. You're a tough man to track down on Sunday nights. I completely understand it.
Fall's a busy time.
Yes, it is.
You guys do a good job of watching some of your podcasts. Happy to be here.
Yeah,
absolutely. We appreciate it and you coming on. First of all, talk about Friday night. The emotion of those games. I think in some respects, I don't know, just from I've never played, I was not a coach, but the emotion of Friday is different when you get there because the fans come out on the field, the team celebrates. Whereas you go to Lucas Oil, they're going to keep everybody in the stands, all that. But obviously, you want to stay together. Just talk about that atmosphere Friday night for you and your team to take care of business against Lafayette Central Catholic and really the momentum that comes out of that and such a strong showing heading into the state finals.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Friday nights are about. It's what all of us who played the game, what we talk about, what we reflect on our experiences playing the game, for the kids to have that joy of winning a championship game, of punching a ticket to Lucas Oil. It's indescribable. There's only one better feeling than winning your very last home game at the semi-state level, and hopefully that's something we can accomplish next weekend. But flood just flooded with joy, with pride for these kids, the senior class in particular, who've come so far. And then having the students rush the field and parents and family and friends, it's just a fun time for everybody involved. And I'm glad we were able to pull it out and that we all had that experience.
For you, Coach, talk about this postseason run. You guys come up as SAC co-champs. You lose that game against Homestead in the final regular season, but still able to get a share of the conference. Turning, your preparations for the postseason. Everybody talks about it every year. Playing in the SAC, how that gets, and the new schedule now this year. How has that shaped out for you guys this year and just planning and getting back to this point and getting back to Lucas Oil?
In all honesty, after that Homestead game, there was really no resets. Like, okay, now we're in two-way. We're playing teams our size, roster enrollment, whatever you want, however you want to look at it. We knew that we played pretty well in many regards to our game, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. We knew we had a running game that never really got into full gear during the regular season. And we knew heading out of 7 weeks in a row of SAC play, and then when you add East Noble and New Haven at the front end of the schedule to open the year, that was a physical football season. We had some kids coming banged up into the playoffs a bit. I'm knocking on wood here. We've been blessed for the most part with health. But as a coaching staff, we were kind of, caught on that fine line of making sure we get some kids rest and at the same time maintaining a level of focus, of preparation, particularly in the physicality of practices. That's one thing that reminded the kids this last week. It was last Thursday. One of the seniors said, "Hey, are we going to be in pro pads today? Or was it just helmets?" We've been in pro pads every single day for 5 weeks, young man. What makes you think we're just going to throw the helmets on tonight? I mean, high school kids, these teenagers, man, they give the death of me, but it's a fun group. That's our mentality as a coaching staff has been make sure that we keep a physical edge throughout practice. This is one of the first times I can remember where we haven't probably been week 7, week 8, maybe after the Dwenger game, which was just a physical back and forth battle. I think after that we dialed it back on fully padded practices. Our pro padded practices are very physical, as quite frankly, as they should be. Which is the only difference is we're not targeting people from the waist down. The idea is to keep kids on their feet. The kids have, for the most part, lived up to those expectations, and when they don't, they get a chewing, usually from me. But the coach has done a heck of a job of maintaining that. Again, walking that fine line of being physical and at the same time making sure we're healthy, making sure we're doing things that we're supposed to, in accordance with the NFHS rules, the ICE bylaws. But these kids, they bring it on a daily basis. They're committed to getting better. They know when we get to our team meeting to lead off every week on Monday after school, they know I'm not just going to sit there and pat them on the back for a job well done. When they know that we still have room to grow, and that this is going to be no different tomorrow when they see me, whenever that is, when I get back from Indy. They're going to tell them what they did well. Congratulate them. We're going to enjoy the week. We kind of set the tone for the week, but there's work to be done, and it's going to be up to the ultimately up to the kids to really fall in line and make sure that they have their head on right and they're focused for practice.
Coach, one thing and a couple things here that when I think about you and your coaching staff, I have personally always said that you do a great job of reading the kids that you have, no matter what year it is, finding out what they do well, and then really trying to hone in on things that you do well and kind of getting, away from things that maybe are not, geared for this team. I think personally as a coach, you're probably one of the better ones with that, especially with your quarterbacks, knowing, what they can or can't do in terms of running the show or what throws they're going to do. So first and foremost, I just want to compliment you and your staff for that, especially because you come out, like you said, 0-2, playing some tough competition, and you were able to rebound off of that and then win, a sectional championship, even though kosher, however you want to put it, the bottom line is you won a sectional championship, and now you're heading to Indy to play for the state championship. So from that standpoint, I just, again, not to pat you on the back too much, just like you probably don't want. But I do think that all needs to be said, because I've always felt that way watching your kids play, and then of course calling the games that we've been fortunate to be a part of over there at Bishop Luers. Friday night, McKenzie had a pretty good night against a very talented team. I mean, you were not taking on just some other team that was just happened to get there. I mean, you're playing one of a tradition-rich Lafayette Central Catholic team. So in that respect, you had a tough one on your bill, but he was 7-14, I believe, about 180 yards, had one touchdown. Talk about his growth this year, being a kid that, really first year, really getting a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, he's been I wouldn't say a surprise. He's a very talented kid. He's put a lot of hard work in to improve his skills, both as a quarterback, physically, emotionally, mentally, knowing the game, knowing his opponent. But he's had to be very patient in his career. Like Stansky a year ago, he had to wait till his senior year to get his shot, and it hasn't always been easy. It's not quarterback. The quarterback position is probably the toughest in just about any sport.
Yeah,
knowing what your responsibilities are is tough in itself, because you handle the ball every snap. There's only two people on the field that handle the ball every snap. You and that center. You got to know what everybody in front of you is doing, what everybody on the perimeter is doing, what that backfield's doing. You got to know, based on scouting, based on film study, what that opponent's doing. There's a lot of the behind the scenes work that goes into it, and it hasn't been easy for him, like any first year quarterback. But I like to think in some of our biggest games this year, he's really stepped up to the plate. And Friday night was without a doubt one of his better ones. Put the ball in the air just 14 times. He made good decisions, and that's something that he has done overwhelming majority of the season. make good decisions. It's like he knew where the ball was supposed to go. A couple of those incompletions, we just, we're on the same page with the receivers, or receivers lost their footing. It was a little slick out there Friday. But no, he knew. I mean, we headed into the season. We were gonna, if we were going to play championship football, we were going to do it behind a defense that we were convinced was going to be playing at an elite level. We weren't convinced how soon that was going to be. We've been playing pretty darn well for about 3 months. And then establishing a run game. I was watching an NFL game today, and I think it was the Bucks were playing, and when they were playing the Niners, maybe the commentator said something about their offensive coordinators. It's not going to be a team that's going to rush for 200 yards any week in the NFL, but they're going to be committed to running the game. That's going to open things up in the passing game, and that philosophy is something we've stuck to. It's not always easy because you put on film and you see a lot of the matchups that you like, maybe in spread. A lot of times we get in the spread to run the ball, find running lanes. And as a quarterback who can sling it like he can, he's a super talented kid. That can be emotionally tough. But to his credit, he's bought in. He hasn't complained about the offensive role that he has. He's just ready to make plays when his name's called. I think he gets a sense of confidence that I have in him as his play caller. We do put him in positions to throw the ball down the field. We got some big body receivers, and Zay and Jalen White out on the perimeter.
Absolutely.
Physical kids on the offensive side of the field. And it's still an inexperienced line. We're heading into week 15, and I look at the two deep. We're still so young.
Yeah.
So it can be hard to just line up and smash it down people's throat. I don't think we really expected to do that for an entire year. There's been weeks where we did expect to do it, and we didn't. We had to rely on play action or screen game or a vertical passing game. And again, to Cohen's credit, he's taken on the role, whatever we've asked for him. He's doing it with his chin up. He's doing it with confidence. And, when he's playing well, this entire team's playing well.
Well, you talked about that running game, and I know you mixed some counter action and things of that name, but the power running game, which I'm in full belief of. But you got two kids back there that can get it done in different ways. They're not the same, but you got Mickey Daring back there, but Gio, I mean, I love that kid. I mean, he is so talented to watch just him run the football, and he runs it hard. He may be a 5'8", 5'7", but he, when he gets it, he goes. There's no hesitation on his part. But he's a kid that's really played a lot of ball for you, and he's done some great things throughout the years. But this, to me, might be one of his better years.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, he's a kid, as a sophomore, even in the beginning of his junior year, he was starting in that secondary as a safety alongside Zay. He's a football player, just like Mickey. These kids are football players. We got a lot of football players that doesn't matter where we put them, how many touches we get. These kids don't care. They want to win football games. They want to play the game the right way. They want to be physical. And having a tandem like Mickey and Gio in the backfield, it's fun to watch. And it'd have been fun to see them, with some of these hosses that we see week in and week out. That's that's not discrediting our offensive line. Our offensive line, our line coaches, they've done a phenomenal job. They've really stepped up. They've gotten better and better and better. They're playing with confidence right now, in large part because those kids behind them have been so consistent. And Gio and Mickey, Gio, shifty. He does it all. Majority part of the regular season, I'd say about half of the regular season, he was out there in the slot. I think he's got maybe 15 receptions or so, but he's making everyone count. He's been a big part in our screen game on the perimeter. He mixes up and blocks, above average out there. But he gets the ball in his hands. He's getting downhill. I think he runs with a lot more confidence when he's running behind Mickey. And Mickey just being the your throwback. You give the ball. Doesn't matter what he's going to do. He's going to go hard. He's going to block somebody. He's going to go out of his way when he gets in the open field to find somebody to run over. That's just that kind of energy that those two create from the running back position that carries over into our sidelines, into our special teams, into our defense. The confidence that our team has after a tough run by one of those two, or a big block on the perimeter by an Isaac Zay, or Jalen White, a Wes Javens, who mix it up and get involved. They give themselves up as teammates. They care about each other. They care about winning. And there's one thing I always share it with the team. I made more intent recently the last few weeks, playing in these big championship games of just how to be a team player. Look at Mickey Daring and Gio Jimenez. They were the unanimous selections as team captains to start the year. Them and Isaac Zay, and they not one complaint from any of those three about what their roles are, how many carries they were getting or not getting. And Gio could have been lined up in the backfield, every down and had a tremendous amount of success. But there were times against some of the bigger, more physical teams, we needed to hit his speed out on the perimeter, and we wanted to maybe be Mickey setting the physical tone for the offense early in games. So Mickey's kind of taken the load in some of the in the regular season, some of the bigger schools that we faced. Mickey probably had a bigger load, but one thing's for sure: when you watch them, one of the two, when they score a touchdown, the other one is the first to sprint down there and celebrate with them. It's pretty remarkable to watch. And when you have your two guys on the team, your two captains in the same backfield together, just feeding off each other in full support for one another and doing it in such an unselfish manner, that just carries over into how to play Luers football, what the expectations around here are. And there's no way around it. We got a young roster. Got a lot of young kids, junior, sophomore class that have seen the varsity field probably a lot earlier than maybe most programs. But they're learning how to play from guys like Mickey, guys like Gio, Zay, Javens. You name, more than half of this senior group. They watch them perform on Friday nights and just how much they care about each other. And I'd like to think our future's in good hands because of their efforts.
Absolutely. Coach Kyle Lindsay joining us here tonight on Upon Further Review. Coach, your defense is really lived up, especially in the second half of the season. I think 64 points in October and November through all those games. Just talk about their and I've seen it on some of the swag on the social media. The idea of keeping teams out of the end zone, that's a big thing that I've seen from some of the players, guys like Damian Jackson and Surrey and those guys. Talk about their growth and their development and as a unit. Defense wins championships. We're seeing that bear out for the Bishop Luers Knights.
Yeah, absolutely. They are the lifeline of this team. Again, we knew that heading into the season, if we were going to build a state contender, it was going to be behind the defense. We're very disruptive up front, very athletic up front. Between Buxton at his nose tackle position as a junior, he's about as unblockable as anybody up front. He's been starting to rack up some sacks, or I should say some tackles for loss, some tackles in the stat box. But that doesn't really matter. These kids don't really care about stats. They care about winning. They care about keeping their opponents out of the end zone. When you got a nose tackle that's taking on double teams, that's living in the backfield, your supreme athletes around him like Damian Jackson, Wes Javens, Isaac Zay, wherever he's going to line up on the field from his safety position, linebacker, defensive end. Those guys can shine. It's just I'm watching the film, breaking down the film, and doing stats for our defensive staff yesterday. I had a tough time deciding who our best defensive player was from Friday night. They were just so awesome. Mickey Daring and Finn Sachs at the linebackers position, not just cleaning up. I mean, they're making plays in the backfield. Mickey is up there in tackles for loss. I think he's got 12 tackles for loss. He got 26 from both defensive ends. Damian Jackson is just, a 6'5", strong athlete who plays the game mean. And he might be the most improved player on our team. He might be the best player on our team. Wes Javens, every big game we've had, he has had multiple tackles for loss, sacks. They almost have identical stat lines in terms of tackles for loss. Two of our three top tacklers on the team are on our defensive front. That's special. That's not something you're going to see every year. I know that's not something that will probably be in the cards for next year, but right now, those guys up front are going to work. They're eating. And then on the back end, we don't have one member when Isaac's up in the box. We don't have one member in our secondary that's a senior. They're all sophomores. They're all pups, sophomores, juniors. Look at the play of D. Hogue last week. Holy cow! I think he probably solidified himself as the best, if not one of the best, underclass defensive backs in the state. Class. Pop on his highlight film. If you don't know D. Hogue, pop on his highlight film. The defensive coaching staff just walked out. They have the last couple minutes of this. They're loving it. No, he's phenomenal. But Davion Surrey at corner, Mikhail Woodson at corner or at safety. Jalen White might be the best defensive back in the program. We haven't really needed him. Last week, I'm happy. The game plan was last week we bumped Mikhail Woodson, who's a second team all conference defensive back as a sophomore, which is amazing in itself. He bumps back to safety next to D. Hogue. And now you've got a 6'2", 180-pound athlete who's physical against a really strong LCC pass game. And those kids had a tough time getting off the line of scrimmage against him. He took away the entire.
And the Jackson kid is phenomenal off the edge.
Oh, Felger, you have Finn Sachs, Felger. There's weeks. Felger's the best player on the field on defense. I think it just went through everybody who plays.
Yeah, I think you did, because they all deserve it. Because they all deserve it.
The depth that we bring in too is it's tremendous. Coach Bradley, the defensive staff they've been doing a phenomenal job. I watch a ton of film. I think some kids in my PE class, especially when we don't have a gym available, they'll attest to that. But I look at the huddle. There's a line on huddle. You can look at how much film people are putting in, including your coaching staff. And as much film as I watch, Coach Bradley, Carson Bradley, our defensive coordinator, he's probably got several hours on top of me. He puts in a lot of work. Those guys put in a lot of work. Their communication, their breakdown of film, their game plans, they're phenomenal. They're putting kids in position to succeed. And then ultimately it's on the kids to put trust, to have trust in their coaches, to believe in the game plan, and the kids go out and they execute it, not to perfection. Perfection on the football field is not really attainable, but they believe that they're going to be perfect. And when they give up a score, they're disappointed. They're mad. And I know the last 2 weeks they're mad that we gave up some short field touchdowns. So there's always a little bit more that we hang over the kids, a carrot to be dangled in front of the kids in terms of, hey, we can be better, and they're going to be better next weekend.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, you mentioned it this coming weekend, the state finals for you guys. We wish you the best of luck at Lucas Oil Stadium and the 2A state championship, and your return again as a coach. You played there as a player, won a couple now as a coach. It's got to be exciting to lead that program to state. We wish you guys the best, and we'll catch you guys down the road.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me, guys.